You're sitting there, broken, aren't you? I can see it in your eyes. You're carrying a weight that isn't yours to bear. They walked away, didn't they? Like you didn't matter. And now, it's eating you alive. That hole in your chest, the constant replay of every moment in your head, wondering where it all went wrong. Let me tell you something. Listen closely, because I don't repeat myself. God saw what you couldn't, and He took them out of your life. Oh, you don't like that? You wanted them to stay? Funny thing about people like you'd rather hold on to poison than admit it's slowly killing you. But here I am, peeling back the curtain, showing you the ugly truth you've been running from. Yes, it's going to hurt. And no, I don't care if it does. You loved them, didn't you? I've been watching you, clutching at the remnants of what you thought was yours forever. But let me be clear. Forever is the cruelest lie we tell ourselves. Nothing lasts forever. People, happiness, or even pain. And yet, here you are, holding on to ghosts, crying over something or someone who was never meant to stay. Here's your problem. You think you lost something, but you didn't lose it. It was taken from you, and not by some random twist of fate. It was ripped out of your life by something bigger, something you can't yet understand. You think it's cruel. You think it's unfair. But let me break it to you. God saw what you couldn't, and He took them out of your life because they were never good for you. You were too blind to see it, too caught up in the illusion. You couldn't see the cracks beneath the surface, the lies, the betrayal, the poison they poured into your soul with every fake smile and hollow word. Trust is fragile, isn't it? You gave them your trust, and they crushed it. Now, you're sitting here, broken, wondering why. Let me tell you something about trust. It's currency, and not everyone deserves it. You handed it out like candy, and look where it got you. Alone, bitter, and broken. But here's the truth. This is exactly where you're supposed to be. Because pain isn't your enemy. It's your teacher. You've been in a classroom this whole time, and you didn't even know it. Every tear, every sleepless night, every aching moment, it's been a lesson. And now, you have two choices. Learn from it, or stay stuck in this pit you've dug for yourself. Let's talk about loss. You think it's the end of the world, don't you? But have you ever stopped to consider that maybe their absence is a blessing? Every time you tried to grow, they held you back. Every dream you had, they scoffed at it. They made you doubt yourself. They were a weight around your neck, dragging you down, and now you're free. But you're too blinded by grief to see it. You've been mourning the death of something toxic, crying over poison like it's honey. That, my friend, is the greatest tragedy of all. You keep asking, why do people leave? Let me tell you, people leave because they were never meant to stay. Some are only here for a season, to teach you something, or prepare you for what's next. Not everyone is meant to stay forever. But the ones who are meant to stay, the real ones, they'll stand by you. Through the chaos, the darkness, they'll be there. Not because they have to, but because they want to. But here's the catch. You'll never find them if you keep chasing shadows. You're out here running after people who've already shown you who they are, begging for their attention, their love, their approval. Why? Why do you need validation from someone who never saw your worth? Let's be real for a second. You think you're the victim, don't you? The one who got left behind. But have you ever considered that maybe, just maybe, you were part of the problem too? None of us are innocent. We all carry our demons, flaws, baggage. Sometimes we're the poison in someone else's story. It's a bitter truth, but it's the truth. And here's the beauty. You can change. You can take that pain, that anger, that emptiness, and use it to fuel you. Not to become bitter or vengeful, but to become better, stronger, wiser. Life isn't about holding on. It's about letting go. Letting go of the things, the people, the dreams that hurt you. It's about shedding the old so you can embrace the new. Yes, it's painful. Yes, it feels like you're being torn apart. But sometimes destruction is necessary for rebirth. Sometimes you have to lose everything to find yourself. Here's something else. God doesn't make mistakes. If He took them out of your life, it's because they weren't meant to be there. Trust that. Believe it. And instead of mourning their absence, celebrate your freedom. Celebrate the fact that you're still here, still breathing, still fighting. In the end, it's not about who left. It's about who stayed. And most importantly, it's about who you become when the dust settles. Stop crying over the past. Stop begging for love you never truly had. Stop wasting your time on people who never deserved you. Pick yourself up. Dust yourself off. Move forward. Because the future is waiting for you. And it's going to be beautiful. Dark? Yes. Painful? Sure. But beautiful. What have you been holding on to? Don't give me the same excuses you tell yourself. Dig deep. Was it love? Loyalty? Or was it fear? Fear of being alone? Fear of facing yourself? Fear of realizing they were never who you thought they were? Love. The word that makes fools of us all. You called it love, didn't you? That connection, that bond you thought would never break. But was it really love? Or was it dependency? Be honest with yourself. You were so desperate to fill the void inside that you latched onto the first person who gave you attention. And in doing so, you ignored every red flag, every warning sign, every gut feeling that told you something wasn't right. But let me tell you about real love. Real love doesn't drain you. It doesn't make you question your worth or beg for scraps of affection. Real love builds you up, strengthens you, makes you better. What you had wasn't love. It was a leash, and you were the dog, wagging your tail, hoping for a treat that never came. And now, that leash is gone. You should be grateful. But no, you're sitting here crying over the person who held it, missing the very chains that kept you bound. How pathetic. I know it hurts. Believe me, I do. Letting go feels like death. It's like tearing out a part of yourself, one you thought you couldn't live without. But here's the thing. You can. You will. Because that piece wasn't really you. It was the version of you they created. The weak, dependent, insecure version they needed you to be. And good riddance to it. But let me warn you, healing isn't easy. It's messy. It's ugly. It's waking up at 3 a.m., tears streaming down your face. It's battling the urge to call them, to text them, to beg them to come back. It's looking in the mirror and facing the parts of yourself you don't want to see. But it's worth it. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt, it's all worth it. Because on the other side of this pain is freedom. Real freedom. The kind that makes you realize you never needed them in the first place. And when you truly realize that, you'll become unstoppable. But here's the thing. Not everyone deserves to see that version of you. The strong, confident, untouchable version. The ones who left, they don't get to come back. They don't get to see what they lost. That's their punishment, their karma. Let them live with the regret of knowing they had something rare, something real, and they threw it away. Let me tell you a secret. The world doesn't care about your pain. It doesn't care about your heartbreak, your sleepless nights, or your silent screams. The world keeps spinning, indifferent to whether you rise or fall. So, what does that mean for you? It means you've got two choices. You can sit here, drowning in self-pity, waiting for someone to save you, or you can become your own savior. No one's coming, hear me? No one. The people you thought would always be there, they're gone. The ones you thought you could trust? They betrayed you. The safety nets you relied on? They've been cut. And now, here you are, standing on the edge, looking down at the abyss. Scared? Good. Fear is the first step. But fear alone won't save you. Action will. Let me ask you something. How many times have you begged? How many times have you lowered yourself, stripped away your dignity just to keep someone in your life? Did they respect you for that? Number. They saw you as weak. And the moment someone sees you as weak, it's over. They'll use you, manipulate you, drain you, until there's nothing left. Stop begging. Begging is for the desperate, and you are not desperate. You are not some fragile little thing begging for validation from people who couldn't even value themselves. They left because they couldn't handle you. They saw your potential, your light, and it scared them. Weak people fear the strong. Remember that. Pain is funny, isn't it? It can destroy you, or it can rebuild you. Most people let it destroy them. They curl up, they cry, they wallow in misery, waiting for the pain to go away. But you? You're not most people. You're going to take that pain and turn it into a weapon. A blade forged in the fires of your suffering, sharp enough to cut through anything in your way. How? By using it. Every time you feel that ache in your chest, every time the memories flood back, use it. Use it to push harder, to climb higher, to become so strong that nothing can ever hurt you again. Because here's the thing, pain doesn't last forever, but the strength you gain from it, that lasts. You're waiting for closure, aren't you? That moment where everything makes sense, where the pieces finally fall into place and you can move on. Let me save you the trouble. It's not coming. Closure is a myth. It's a lie we tell ourselves to keep from facing the truth. The only closure you'll ever get is the one you create for yourself. So stop waiting for apologies that will never come. Stop waiting for explanations from people who don't even understand themselves. Don't hold your breath for a resolution that may never come. The only thing you need to move forward is a decision to let go, a decision to walk away, a decision to stop giving power to those who don't deserve it. Forgiveness. It's a heavy word, right? They tell you to forgive, to let go, to move on. But here's the truth about forgiveness. It's not for them. It's for you. Forgiveness isn't about forgetting, excusing their actions, or pretending it didn't happen. Forgiveness is about refusing to let their actions control your life anymore. You forgive, not because they deserve it, but because you do. You deserve peace. You deserve freedom. You deserve to live without the weight of anger and resentment. And don't get it twisted. Just because you forgive doesn't mean you let them back in. Forgiveness is for your soul, not theirs. Loss changes you. It breaks you. It shatters you and forces you to rebuild. But here's the thing. You get to decide what the new version of you will look like. You can let the loss define you, or you can let it refine you. You can become bitter, or you can become better. The The choice is yours. And when you stand on the other side, stronger than you've ever been, people will wonder how you did it. They'll see the fire in your eyes, the strength in your stride, and they'll know you didn't just survive. You thrived. Now, let's talk about them. The ones who left, the ones who broke you, the ones who thought they could walk away without consequences. They think they won. They think they're better off without you. Let them think that. Let them live in their illusion. One day, they'll realize what they lost, and by then, it'll be too late. You'll be long gone, soaring so high they can't even reach you. That's the ultimate revenge. Not anger, not hatred, but success. Becoming everything they said you couldn't be. Proving them wrong without a word. This is your moment, your turning point. The moment you decide who you're going to be. Are you going to let this break you? Or will you use it to become unstoppable? The choice is yours, and no one else can make it for you. But here's one thing I want to leave you with. God doesn't take without giving. If He took them out of your life, it's because He's making room for something better. Trust that. Believe that. And when the time comes, you'll look back on this moment and realize it wasn't the end. It was the beginning. Now, you're alone, sitting in the dark, wondering what you did to deserve this. Let me tell you something about solitude. It's not a punishment. It's a weapon. The strongest people you'll ever meet didn't become that way surrounded by crowds of admirers. They became strong when they were alone. They became strong in silence, in the moments when no one was there to lean on, when there was no one to save them. Solitude forces you to face yourself. And if you're still here, good. That means there's still something left in you, a spark waiting to ignite. But make no mistake, this transformation won't be easy. It's going to tear you apart before it rebuilds you. You'll feel like you're drowning, like every breath is a struggle. But that's the price of rebirth. You've got to burn the old version of yourself to ashes before the real you can rise. This isn't about revenge. It's not about proving anyone wrong. It's about proving something to yourself. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't just survive, but thrives. And to do that, you've got to face the hardest truth of all. You've been lying to yourself. You've been feeding yourself a steady diet of lies, and it's time to spit them out. You've told yourself you're not good enough, that you're broken, unworthy, replaceable. You let their actions define your value, their absence, your worth. But here's the truth. Their leaving wasn't a reflection of you. It was a reflection of them. They left because they couldn't handle you. They saw your strength, your potential, your light, and it terrified them. Weak people always fear the strong because they know they'll never measure up. So they try to dim your light, bring you down to their level. And when they can't, they run. But you let their cowardice make you feel like you were the problem. You internalized their failures, their insecurities, their toxicity. You carried their baggage like it was your own. And now you're wondering why you're so tired. Let's talk about the weight you're carrying. It's not just the loss. It's everything. The expectations, the disappointments, the dreams that never came true. It's the pressure to be perfect, to please everyone, to be everything to everyone. It's crushing you. But here's the thing. You don't owe anyone anything. Not your time, not your energy, not your love. The only person you owe is yourself. You owe yourself the freedom to live without the chains of other people's expectations. You owe yourself the chance to heal, to grow, to become who you were always meant to be. And to do that, you've got to let go of the weight. Let go of the guilt, the shame, the regret. Let go of the what-ifs and if-onlys that anchor you down into a sea of self-doubt. Cut them loose. Let yourself rise. Moving on doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean pretending like it never happened. Moving on means accepting what was, learning from it, and choosing to move forward. It means letting go of the past, not because it doesn't matter, but because you matter more. Think of your life as a book. The chapter with them? It's over. You can't rewrite it. You can't go back and change the ending. But you can start a new chapter. A better chapter. One where you're the hero of your own story, not the victim of someone else's. And yes, it's going to be hard, the hardest thing you've ever done. But every step you take away from them is a step toward freedom, toward peace, toward a future where you're not defined by what you've lost, but by what you've gained. You're afraid of being alone, aren't you? Afraid of the silence, the emptiness, the thoughts that come rushing in when there's no one else around to distract you. But let me tell you something about solitude. It's not your enemy. It's your greatest ally. In the silence, you'll find clarity. In the emptiness, you'll find space to grow. In the solitude, you'll find yourself. Because that's the thing about being alone. It forces you to face yourself, to confront the parts of you that you've been running from. And yes, it's uncomfortable. It's painful. But it's also necessary. This is your time to heal, to rebuild, to become. Embrace it. Use it. Let it shape you into the person you were always meant to be. Now, let's talk about purpose. Without it, all this pain, all this struggle, it means nothing. You've got to find your why. Why are you still here? Why did you survive when others couldn't? Why are you fighting to move forward? Your purpose doesn't have to be grand or earth-shattering. It just has to be yours. Maybe it's to help others who are struggling. Maybe it's to build something meaningful. Maybe it's simply to live a life that makes you happy. Whatever it is, find it. Hold on to it. Let it drive you, guide you, anchor you. Because purpose is what turns pain into power. It's what gives meaning to the struggle. It's what transforms you from a victim into a victor. One day, you're going to look back on this moment and realize it was the turning point. The moment you stopped letting life happen to you and started taking control. The moment you stopped being a prisoner of your past and became the architect of your future. And when that day comes, you'll be proud of yourself. Not because of what you've achieved, but because of who you've become. You'll be stronger, wiser, braver. You'll be the person you needed when you were at your lowest. And that's a legacy worth leaving. Now go. Go and become the person they thought you couldn't be. Go and prove to yourself that you're stronger than your pain, bigger than your past, greater than your fears. Go and show the world that you don't just survive, you thrive. And remember, God saw what you couldn't. He took them out of your life not to punish you, but to protect you. Not to break you, but to build you. Not to hurt you, but to heal you. You're probably still thinking about them, aren't you? Still replaying every conversation, every memory. Every time they smiled at you and made you feel like you mattered. That's the poison of it, isn't it? The memories, they cling to you like ghosts, haunting your every thought. You can't shake them. You can't forget them. You can't let them go. But let me tell you something about memories. They're not real. They're a distorted version of the past, twisted by your emotions. You remember the good times, the laughter, the warmth, but you've conveniently erased the pain, the lies, the moments when they made you feel like you were nothing. Think about it. How many nights did you cry yourself to sleep because of them? How many times did you question your worth because of the way they treated you? How many times did you forgive them, even when they didn't deserve it? And now, you're sitting here, mourning their absence like it was some kind of gift. Wake up. They weren't a gift. They were a lesson. A hard, painful lesson. And now that they're gone, it's time for you to graduate and move on. You don't feel strong right now, do you? You feel weak, broken, vulnerable. But let me tell you a secret. Strength doesn't come from never falling. It comes from getting back up. And every time you've been knocked down, every time you've been hurt, every time you felt like giving up, you got back up. Maybe not right away, maybe not gracefully, but you did it. Do you know what that makes you? A fighter. And fighters don't quit. They don't stay down. They don't let their pain define them. They use it. They turn it into fuel, into fire, into a reason to keep going. That's exactly what you're going to do. But strength isn't just about surviving. It's about thriving. It's about taking all the pain, all the anger, all the heartbreak, and channeling it into something greater. It's about building a life so beautiful, so powerful, that it makes every tear, every scar, every sleepless night worth it. You're still looking for closure, aren't you? Still waiting for that one moment when everything makes sense, when the pain disappears, when you can finally move on. But let me tell you the truth. Closure doesn't come from them. It doesn't come from apologies, explanations, or grand gestures that erase all the hurt. Closure comes from you. It comes from deciding that you're done carrying the weight of their mistakes. It comes from realizing that their actions were never about you. They were about them. It comes from forgiving yourself for holding on too long, for giving too much, for not walking away sooner. And once you find that closure, once you let go of the need for validation, you'll be free. Free from the chains of your past. Free from the pain they left behind. Free to create a future that's not defined by them. Letting go isn't easy. It's not something you can do overnight. It's a process, a journey, a battle. And every day, you'll have to choose to let go. You'll have to fight the urge to hold on, to reach out, to go back. You'll have to remind yourself that you deserve better, even when you don't feel like you do. But here's the thing about letting go. It's not about forgetting. It's not about pretending like it never happened. It's about accepting what was, learning from it, and moving forward. It's about choosing peace over pain, freedom over fear, self-love over self-destruction. And every time you let go, every time you choose yourself over them, you're taking back your power. You're reclaiming your life. You're proving to yourself that you're stronger than your pain, braver than your fears, better than your past. One day, you're going to look back on this moment and realize it was the turning point. The moment you stopped letting life happen to you and started taking control. The moment you stopped being a victim and became a survivor. The moment you decided you were worth more than the scraps they gave you. And when that day comes, you'll be proud of yourself, not because of what you've achieved, but because of who you've become. You'll be stronger, wiser, braver. You'll be the kind of person who doesn't just survive, they thrive. And that's a legacy worth leaving. Do you know what the most dangerous thing in the world is? Belief. Not in others, not in a higher power, but in yourself. Because when you truly believe in yourself, there's nothing you can't do. No obstacle you can't overcome. No dream you can't achieve. No pain you can't endure. But self-belief doesn't come easy. It's not something you can fake or force. It's something you have to earn, and the only way to earn it is to face your fears, confront your demons, and prove to yourself that you're stronger than you ever thought possible. Once you believe in yourself, truly believe in yourself, you'll be unstoppable. You'll be the kind of person who doesn't just survive life, they conquer it. This is it. This is your moment. The moment you decide who you're going to be. Are you going to let this pain define you? Or are you going to use it to become the person you were always meant to be? The choice is yours, and no one can make it for you. But let me leave you with this. God doesn't take without giving. If He took them out of your life, it's because He's making room for something better. Trust that. Believe that. And when the time comes, you'll look back on this moment and realize it wasn't the end. It was the beginning. Now go. Prove to yourself that you're stronger than your pain. Prove to the world that you're not defined by who left, but by who stayed, by who you've become. And remember, when the night feels darkest, it's not the end. It's the prelude to the dawn.